Palworld is being sued by both Nintendo and the Pokemon Company for what they're claiming is patent infringement. They are incredibly vague on the details of it, but Palworld is fighting back a little bit, and that's cool to see. Nintendo is notorious for this type of shit. On one hand, Nintendo will do something that everybody absolutely loves, and then the next day they'll do something that's just brain dead. Regardless of how you feel about this court case, if you're Team Nintendo or Team Palworld, the one thing that's fucking weird about this is just how vague they are.
Who's that Pokemon? It's Cream Puff.
Palworld did respond to Nintendo saying that they're going to be fighting against, and look who tweeted that, Grog Squad.
Shameless plug.
Okay, so regarding the lawsuit, yesterday a lawsuit was filed against our company for patent infringement. We have received notice of this lawsuit and will begin the appropriate legal proceedings and investigations into the claims of patent infringement.
I'll get you this time.
At this moment, we are unaware of the specific patents we are accused of infringing upon, and we have not been notified of such details.
This will work out fine! No, it won't! No, it won't! How do I put on the brakes?
Pocket Pair is a small indie game company based in Tokyo, and I'm just going to pause it right there. The Tokyo Game Show, which is coming up, is about to get really fucking awkward, because everyone's going to be there, including Pocket Pair.
Oh dear. What an awkward situation.
Our goal as a company has always been to create fun games. We will continue to pursue this goal because we know that our games bring joy to millions of gamers around the world. Palworld was a surprise success this year, both for gamers and for us. We were blown away by the amazing response to the game and have been working hard to make it even better for our fans. And the first thing they actually did after the lawsuit went public, the first thing they did was tweet out patch notes. Now that's based. Anyway, we will continue improving Palworld and strive to create a game that our fans can be proud of. It's truly unfortunate that we will be forced to allocate significant time to matters unrelated to game development due to the lawsuit. However, we will do our utmost to our fans to ensure that the indie game developers are not hindered or discouraged, that part's important, from pursuing their creative ideas. We apologize to our fans and supporters for any worry or discomfort that this news has caused.
We're sorry.
As always, thank you for your continued support of Palworld and Pocket Pair. This last paragraph is really important because they bring up a good point of going, hey, if we don't fucking stand up to people like Nintendo, it's kind of open season on any indie developer.
If you let Nintendo bend over the entire indie gaming industry,
You're gonna have a bad time.
This whole patent infringement part is what I think is being overlooked. A lot of people are too focused on going on, does that look too much like Pikachu? Does that look too much like Dragonite? Stuff like this. And if we're going to go down that route, then shut the fuck up. You ripped off fucking Dragon's Quest, okay?
I understood that reference.
And I mean, let's face it. Most of it's like, you can't say that fucking Dragon's Quest or Pokemon invented a fox. Because you look at something like a Pokemon, you go, that's based off a fox.
Well, also, there's the whole thing of, even if they did look similar, it's very obvious having, like, I don't know, a fucking chimp with a AR-15, right? That looks like a Pokemon. You could make the case that that's parody, and that maybe not necessarily in Japan, but at least in North America, that would be protected. So, I mean, there's a reason why South Park's still on the air. No one's, even the Church of Scientology wasn't able to get them off the air, right?
You can't just call somebody a fudge packer and get away with it!
But Pirate Software, he had an interesting insight into this. I'll read out this whole thing here because this is going to get the brain juices flowing.
This is big brain time.
My assumption is that Nintendo is going after Pocket Pair for the Power Sphere mechanic, which is directly mirrors the Pokeball.
I'm sure you're all one step ahead of these clowns, so you know that's exactly what we're going to do.
Nintendo has a patent on file for this mechanic, but the dates make it interesting. The US patent was filed of May 2024 and approved in August of 2024. The Japanese one was filed in December of 2021 and was approved in November of the same year. Palworld was announced publicly on June 2021 and launched January 2024. From the basis, it appears that Nintendo saw a threat and tried to shore up with the patents in case Palworld did well.
Corporations do things like that. They call it corporate greed.
Overall, I feel the patenting mechanics in this way limits games and gives us worse games overall. I completely agree with that. We should be copyrighting characters, art, music, and other content. Patenting mechanics sucks for everyone.
That's no good.
But what he's essentially getting at is, if we can just start copywriting basic game mechanics, where does this end? This could go down to the point where Forza is now a ripoff of Gran Turismo because they're both cars go brum brum.
Well, it gets even worse than that. It means Sony has a legal right to stop Microsoft from producing Forza games because they are using the same, a similar enough driving mechanic. They could stop GTA as well. GTA has a driving mechanic, right? So
Halo has warthogs. Call of Duty has tanks. Battlefield has tanks. Where does it end?
What happens with a game that's a first-person shooter? Could Activision then copyright that mechanic and stop basically Battlefield from being produced? Even though they're two separate types of shooters, they aren't really even competition because they're a different style of game in the same genre. But yeah, this is a fucking problem. Like, you can't copyright these mechanics. Like, I get the reason why patent mechanics are there in other industries. It doesn't work in the gaming industry, right? For hardware, yes, but for the software, unless it's something like an anti-cheat software and you're using a wholly new system, but actual gameplay mechanics, I don't think that should be allowed. Honestly, I think they should just look at this and throw it out, and they should be like, you're copying like 30 other games, and 30 other games have copied you. And it's never been a problem until this one got successful.
This is why I believe everyone should be Team Palworld on this one, even if you never played the game, even if you don't like it. This is a very dangerous precedent to set here. If Nintendo gets away with this, like I said, it's open season on all these things. And imagine being an indie game and you're looking at this and you're like, fuck that, I do not want to get sued by Nintendo. Shut down production.
If I were them, I would argue there's some sort of, at the worst case scenario, even if this is being upheld, they should be able to get some sort of immunity from it because they announced the game, and they announced the game before the patents, right? Like, they should be able to be like, well, how are we supposed to foresee they're going to patent something that has been out for 30 plus years, right? We're coming up on 40 years of Pokemon games, I would say, right? What, like the late 80s?
Late 80s, early
90s,
90s, at least when you're talking about like the inception and, you know, the
like
and all that
95
stuff.
then?
Somewhere around
so
that,
we're past 30 years of the game being out, though. If they hadn't patented it back then, I don't get how you can sit on something for 30 years and then all of a sudden, and also mass produce something, and then all of a sudden be like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to patent that one feature in that thing that's been mass produced for 30 years now because somebody is doing competition. I think you can get away with that in Japan, but over here in North America, I think that would be thrown out. That would be seen as like, you're a fucking idiot.
Do you think we'll ever learn?